Hello and welcome to yet another beautiful webinar of the Light Edge Foundation. My name is Emenike Chioma Christine. I'm the CEO and founder of the Light Edge Foundation. Now, before we go on, I would like us to talk about who we are, and then we'll breeze in from there while we wait for our guests to come in. And we're so sorry for certain technical glitches Facebook is having with us today. I think there's a quarrel with myself and Mark Zuckerberg. We'll have to figure it out later though. So for now, please, I would love our guest speaker to come on board and let's do this together. So while that is going on and we're settling that, I'm going to just talk about who we are at the Light Edge Foundation, okay? What we do, why we do what we do, and we'll go on from there, all right? So first of all, let's look at the Light Edge Foundation, we seek to harmonize the lives of the survivors, okay, of abuse, sexual abuse, rape, child abuse, domestic violence, and physical abuse, in tune with their abusers for resounding mental balance. Everybody needs to be sane. Everybody needs to be fine. Everybody needs to be mentally okay in order to go through life. Else, there's going to be a problem, like a major problem, all right? And we don't want that. We don't want to have issues where we are just going through life like we don't even exist, all right? We do exist, and that's why we can keep doing what we do every time. So we don't just tell our abusers, you are abused, rather, you've been abused, and we don't just throw our abusers in jail. Many times we have to understand the root cause, and the family is the smallest unit of the society. It is the smallest and most important unit of the society. It's not just called a family, it's a cell. Okay, it's a connection. It's where everything starts and everything ends. That's why today we're talking about the influence of the family on a potential abuser and looking also at the nature of an abuser. Who can we look at? Can we look at someone on the street and say, this person will be an abuser? Can we look at someone randomly and say this person would know how to abuse someone, would sexually abuse people? Is that the kind of thing we would say we can do? So that is what we're looking at right now. And then, okay, Tracy, so send the request again and I'll try to accept it again. I'm still not seeing the request though, so let's just keep flowing from there. I know we're doing great. All right, so next up, we have this approach we work with. It's called B, D, and H. B, we believe the story of the abused. We don't just call them victims. They are survivors. They're amazing people. Okay, they go through life and they've been broken. They've been shattered. Something has to make them rise. Everybody needs to come up and rise above the shame, rise above the pain. So we first of all believe their story, not just because they are trying to get their story out on social media for clout, but we ensure this thing really happened. Of course, by connecting with their abusers. 98% of people who's been abused actually have something, okay, in common. They all know their abusers, except they don't want to speak out, and that's fine. You don't have to force them or push them. Like we discussed in June's webinar, we said something that connects with, don't ask them, what were you wearing? Is he not your boyfriend? Why would you go to visit him half naked and all that? No. Why would you go to a party? Everybody has a life to live. Let's remember that. Okay, and what someone chooses to do with their life, we cannot change or decide for them, but we can help them understand the dangers in many instances. So while that is going on, number D, okay, the letter D rather, we directly converse in response to one another. We try to help the abused and the abusers sit together, talk it out. What happened? Every abused wants to ask one question. Trust me, I'm speaking from experience when I say we just want to ask one question. Why did you abuse me? Okay, it's the network, I understand. So we do understand that, right? It's just one question we want to ask. Why did you do this to me? What happened? What did I do that made you abuse me? Like, You can just touch me as you want. You know, it's crazy. It hurts so bad. That's the most annoying part. It hurts. So now let's look at another part. The H approach. We help the survivors and the abusers to grow emotionally. Before someone, then when we're in school, we used to hear something that someone tells us and says, a bully. Okay? A bully doesn't just wake up one morning and says, I want to be a bully. Okay? In secondary school, we had bullies. People that would just, they would give us 20 naira and ask us to go and buy something worth of 100 naira. Meaning we're supposed to use our 80 naira to balance up. And that was like, everybody had food money of like 15 naira, and we had to manage for 2 breaks, and it was crazy. So nobody bullies or abuses anybody. Okay? Bullying is actually physical abuse. So for the young ones out there, notice that so that you can know when it has to stop and stand up for yourself and speak up and get help, because it's important. All right. Now, bullying, people bully people because they have issues inside. Before someone can come out and attack you, the person is going through an attack in here. The person is suffering and dying and wants help. Else, he or she would not even attempt that. That's the same thing with an abuser. Okay, the person is going through pain. So they also need to learn to grow. Of course, the law says they should be punished, right? Everybody actually agrees that it should be punished. But at the Light Age Foundation, our approach is unique. We don't just send them all the way to jail. Of course, that's if the abused or the society needs to prosecute them. What we do is we try to speak, understand why this happened. So we have spoken with many abusers in the past, now 8 years of working in Nigeria, and we've come to realize something. We've come to make a conclusion that the family is where everything should start from. That's why today we are going through the family, okay, as it's in our own way. So now, what is our vision statement? Redefining the essence of humanity. Human beings are important and beautiful people. Everybody has an importance and a reason why they should actually be seen as amazing people. So that's what we do. The mission statement also is we are out to take countermeasures to neutralize the threat of abuse in any facet it shows itself in our nation, Nigeria, and the world as a whole. We don't fight drug abuse. That's the one thing we don't fight. So what we fight, what we look out for is rape, sexual abuse, child abuse, domestic violence, and physical abuse. Now, neglect, verbal abuse, oral abuse, all these things come under physical abuse and domestic violence. People may not know it, but let me now explain something. 38% of women, okay, who die of abuse in the marriages, the abuse they die of mostly is domestic violence. Women say they don't want to speak up. They say they don't want to leave their husbands. They say they don't want to because of the children, of course. But have you come or stopped to consider the fact that there is a major problem when it comes to you living in that way? There's a video we posted on our Facebook page, so would like you to go and check it out, and our YouTube too. And that video is about a woman who every day the husband will give her flowers, and then she would cook food and he doesn't appreciate that. She would wash his clothes and he'll find a fault. He beats her, the next day gets her flowers, he makes love to her, right? But every time this happens, all right, he at the end of the day, after he gets her flowers, then the last day, the video was talking about him getting her flowers, but those flowers were from her family, her mother, her father, her brothers and sisters. Okay, she didn't have a kid then, but he had beaten the last child from the womb, obviously, and then continues to abuse her. It was her grave they were putting those flowers on. Is that something we want for real? So if we cannot, I would love for our speaker to, bring us up to speed with some things she's prepared for us by typing, since we have a problem connecting her live. I don't know what's happening right now, why our request is not reaching me here, but whatever happens, we will continue this live feed and not stop. So we'll see why we can't work on it. So please, every other person as well should please send in their questions, send in your own talks, and then we'll feature you here I always want everybody to feel free to tell us what they think. Many married people, okay, also who have kids. When you look at your children, do you see them being at risk of being abusers? Do you see your kids being potential abusers? Do you think it's possible that your boy is being an abuser? Today on the Times News, I read something this morning and it shook me to the bone. A girl committed suicide, and it says 3 students, meaning she's 15 or 16 years of age, okay, before her 17th birthday, and she committed suicide. Why? Her brother sexually assaulted her, and obviously she cannot handle the shame. And people always say something. They say those who commit suicide are weak people. Trust me, you don't want to see them as weak people. They are not weak. They can't take the shame. That's why when we notice our friends, relatives, people around us are feeling like they are shaking and they are reluctant to speak, we should please help them out with talks. Get them talking, get them involved in certain activities that are interesting and that keeps their spirit high and vibrant, because whatever happens next, trust me, they need us. They need us to understand them. They need us to go through life. So some questions we prepared, okay, for this webinar. We're not going to take so much of our time, all right, is number 1, what can a parent do to unknowingly breed an abuser? You just sit down. You're a parent, you're a mom, you're a dad, okay? And before you know it, you're not sure what's happening, but you realize you're actually training an abuser unknowingly. And you're like, what is happening to my child? How is my child an abuser? How is my child abusing people? Why? Where did I go wrong as a parent? That's the first question everyone asks. That's the question people want to feel like they're confused about. What happened? Why is this child going to be an abuser? Okay? Now, a lot of men grow up. Let's see a scenario. I'm going to create a story right now, and I want us to follow and, understand what's happening now. When we say abuse, let's get something straight. A father and a mother, they're married, right? A husband and a wife. People are married, right? And then in this beautiful marriage, each time I understand, you can type it. Okay, type whatever you want to say and send. Tracy Ume, please, would love you to still speak with us no matter what's happening right now, because I know the network is terrible and I don't understand what's happening with Facebook and why they're not letting you come on. Good to go, okay? Thank you. So as we were saying, okay, husband and a wife got married, and this guy happened to be a very calm guy, and he's amazing, okay? An amazing father, an amazing husband, a wonderful son, right? And then one day, his wife pisses him off. His wife just, I don't know, gets so much salt in the food, or the child just does something annoying, right? Because it always happens. It will always happen. That's one thing I keep telling people to prepare for. People always say, but why should it happen? But the truth is, stuff like that would always come on board. It will always show its face every time. And people get to piss us off. People get to annoy us. And we have no idea what we want to do, right? So this guy cannot hold his temper anymore. The woman is always demanding for money. School fees, house rent, everything on his head. And one day he just explodes and he beats up the wife, right? He has this thing in him already. He beats the woman. He didn't think of walking out. I ask a few of my, male friends, all of them, most times, and a few times rather, and I say, why do you think you would ever beat a woman? I do that. I ask that question indirectly sometimes, and they won't even know that why I'm finding that out. And I throw out the question and I get some answers I like, some I don't. And then one of my friends said something one day. He said, women can be a beaker They can bother like hell. They can push you to the wall and you won't even know what happened. Before you know it, you're hitting her. So what he has learned to do was to walk out. That time she's dragging his clothes, he just sets her down on the chair or on the bed and he walks out. Sometimes he just says, he kisses her on the forehead and he walks out because he does not want problem. Then they'll say he's a wife beater, he's a girlfriend beater or something. Okay, so this man beats the wife, and then next week after she's healed, of course, she comes back again and says, you see, there's no light, and I told you, NEPA came around, and you could not do this. Are you not a man? Right? What's the next thing he does? He beats her again. Okay, this continues to go on. Now, they have a 12-year-old boy. Okay, that's a scenario I'm creating. Don't forget, it's a storyline I want us to work with. What happens to the 12-year-old boy every time he watches daddy beat mommy? Already, he has a younger sister of 6. And that one is easily protected. She understands what's happening because, of course, she's gotten beaten before, or maybe she's watched something, but she does understand mommy's crying, right? But her brain is not really so developed like that 12-year-old. He's picking up something. He's picking up these waves. All right, it's coming into him like that is beating mommy. That boy grows, falls in love, gets married in his own turn. But before he gets married, how about a case where that same boy, his sister, of course, starts her own trade by the time she's 15, 16. He tells her, Angela, could you help me get my shoe, clean it, I'm going to work or school? And she's like, you see that? Like, she just, disses him and like, whatever you do your worst. And he said, Angela, I'll beat you. And she keeps on attacking him and telling him, what would you do? Am I your maid? Go and get your shoe and clean it. It's only 6 years you used to senior me. Right? And then before you know what's happening, things get out of hand. He slaps her. What happens one day when he's 18 and she's 12 and they are left at home alone? Of course, the man is already pissed at the wife, so he doesn't really come home. What happens to the woman who wants to survive and just begins to sell stuff in the market? She goes out by 5 a.m. and comes back as late as 11 or 12, and as early as 10:30. Of course, the kids are already sleeping. But then who is teaching the girl how to be a girl? Who's teaching the boy how to be a man? Who is teaching anyone how to be anything? There's nobody at home. You're leaving them at the mercy of the internet. You're leaving the kids at the mercy of neighbors. You're leaving them at the mercy of inexperienced millennials, their friends. Okay? And the uncles and aunts around the areas who just want to experiment with them and do their own thing. Already, this thing is already in the boy that is right to beat a woman. He already has the inspiration to beat women, right? But after his sister pisses him off, he doesn't just hit her. Then one day, of course, his body itches like a guy, right? And he wants to ejaculate. So that's like one thing in the guy's head, okay, to just release it. And then boom, he goes to his sister's room and she's wearing this short and, or a mini skirt, and a nightie is a see-through one, and she's walking around the house with him. Of course, don't forget, their brother and sister. Nobody's thinking anything sexual yet, but the human nature, biologically, it works in our bodies. Experimentation wants to flow. Everybody wants to see how they can release that tension in their bodies and just fire out. So the guy grabs his sister and abuses his sister. Or a cousin who came around to see them does the same. Now, this young man, after doing this, these kids are for life scarred. People would say the woman should stay at home and take care of the home. But don't forget, a man who is already drinking and doing all sorts, who's going to pay the bills if he's not bringing money home? That's why the woman had to go to the market. But then a lot of people will still ask again, why should the woman go out with a man knowing that she has a girl child? A lot of people would blame that woman. So I want you, the audience, okay, to come in and please Drop your questions. I would love so much to understand what you think, whether it makes sense or not. Please type in those questions on the screen. We're going to read through them. Thank you so much, Wike. Thank you so much. Okay, everyone who is already viewing. And trust me, we want to hear from you. Okay, that's why it's a live feed. All right, so please let's feel free to talk about this topic. That's still the story. Now, the question is, how can the mother know that the child is becoming an abuser? That's another question. How would the father know his son is becoming an abuser? When you see traits of, now abuse, don't forget we mentioned some types of abuse. It's not just about rape and sexual abuse now. We have domestic violence and physical abuse. Every time a boy is grabbing his younger sister and hitting her unnecessarily, or a senior girl is grabbing a younger brother and hitting him, maybe for not picking up shoes, for not cleaning the house, for not washing the clothes, for not cleaning or doing any chores at home, you're on your way to abusing. Just stop. That's not the way to correct people. That's not the way people are supposed to learn. Okay, every family has a way they've been trained and how they would say they know how to live. But how about doing the right thing? How about really understanding the true thing that is natural, staying calm, and finishing a training through? Talk with your kids regularly as a family. Trust me, see, people always say, what does talk do? But take it from me. Talk is amazing when you can talk it out. People should learn to talk. Every time. Communication is key. Don't say they are kids, they are small. But don't forget one more thing. They are small, but they are growing. And these days, if you notice something with the millennials, they were built, I keep saying, God created the young ones these days with a chip in their head, an amazing microchip, a Generation Z microchip that is powerful. Nobody would know really that this is how it is. They just know it. You ask them one question and they're answering you 20 times, but don't forget they're still children. They still have no idea what's happening. They still have no idea how much they should really take in and what they should let out. So encourage them to talk. You see, one reason why I keep saying my family, okay, one reason we're actually very free to speak our minds, okay? So we speak for one reason, because our parents would call us, sit us down and speak. Our last born is, my younger brother, the last child, is 12, going to be 12 by December, okay? And we all are free to speak our minds. So that whatever happens, we understand that communication is key. So when we're dealing with people outside the family base, we deal with them the way that communication is key. So people should learn to speak back. Okay, like let's dialogue. There's nothing dialogue cannot solve, even a national war. Now, rape, abuse, neglect, they are all turning out to be a war in Africa right now. Everybody's crying. In the last 3 months alone, statistically speaking, there's been over 3,800 cases of rape in Nigeria and neighboring African countries. So let's count and see that people are dying. People need to understand. In the last webinar, the guest speaker, okay, he told us to speak to family of the abused, and this is why we are reaching out now. How about you watch your brother? How about you watch your sister? How about you try to, throw a random question around, play around with words. Ask them what they think about abuse. Ask them, do they think it makes sense, okay, for abuse to flow? Do they think it's nice when people are being abused? What do they think? I was speaking with a 10-year-old, and you know what she said? She said, I asked her a simple question. I said, young lady, please tell me, when someone comes to you and tells you, sit on my lap, even, I didn't even mention anybody's name. She now said, auntie, hold on. Even my senior brother, you should not come and carry me on my leg. I commended her mom and anybody who's trained her in my heart, her father, anybody who's talked with her in that case, I had to commend them in my heart. I was like, God bless them. Because it's amazing. That's the thing. So yeah, our speaker says the red flags behavior to watch out for when people start crossing physical boundaries. When they start encouraging kids to keep secret. Exactly. Because I don't see I'm going to take it one after the other. Okay. Behavior to watch out for when people start crossing physical boundaries. I don't understand why I should comfortably tell my kid not to speak, to keep a secret, okay, from me or from their father. And I'll be like, don't tell daddy. Don't tell mommy. Or an uncle would say, don't tell daddy and mommy. How about it's a little secret? You see, those words are catchy. We're like, let this be our pretty little secret. Let this be our secret. Don't tell mommy I took you to the beach. Don't tell mommy I took you to Tantalizers. And those little gifts we buy, those little gifts we attract them with. And we say, don't tell mommy, don't tell daddy, don't tell auntie, don't tell uncle. Trust me, those things kill. And these children eventually learn to start keeping secrets. And they learn to hide. And they learn to be shadow-lived. Okay, they live in this cage. And trust me, it grows with them. If you want a child to be anything you want that child to be, start from when you brought the child home. That stage of breastfeeding the child. Looking into the child's face while you breastfeed the child. Teaching the child the method of prayer. A reason why every day, don't stop praying. Every day we need to talk about this in the house. Everybody, how about 6, 7 o'clock in the evening? Let's have family time talk Friday night or Saturday night or Sunday night. For my family, it's like an everyday thing since this lockdown thing. Okay, when we are all together. All right. But if not, on a normal time, it's like in a month, 2, 3 times, we will surely gather. All right. And speak. So another thing we're looking out for is encouraging kids to keep secret is bad. Now, when adults who always prefer to play with kids more than adults, I don't understand why you would leave your age grade. What are you looking for? Even the kids sometimes come around to adults. I know you have that question in your head and you'll be like, what if they're always coming to me and saying, uncle, auntie, can't I just play with them? Watch how you play with them. Let it be an educative and not just totally entertaining and play. How about you? When kids come around me, there's something I do. Okay, I ask them what class they are in and what their age is. Then I try to do something. I assess. I am able to psychologically analyze people easily. It's something I know how to do, and I've learned how to do it so perfectly since I was a kid. So I learned to throw out a question that they should not know, but it's not totally away from their turf. So they're like, okay, this, and I know exactly what a 5-year-old thinks. When I say, if a man is naked in front of you, what does it mean? And then some of them will be like, ew. You see that? Ew. I don't know why a 5-year-old should do that. That's crazy. Because she should know. Or a boy. And you're telling him that the way you as the mother have breasts, so also does his younger sister would also grow to have a 7-year-old boy, let's say a 10-year-old boy. Because the wisdom of a 5-year-old girl and a 10-year-old boy, or a 7-year-old girl and a 10-year-old boy are waging, because girls can easily understand and learn. That's something we've learned, okay? We are quick to grasp, all right? So these kids are wondering why you're coming close to them at all. That's the first question. So when you're now close to them, don't take advantage of them. Please don't. You're their family, they are your nieces and nephews. Don't. Please. Try not to grab them in force. Try not to push them to the bed. Try not to tell them to touch your private parts and suck your penis. It is bad. Trust me, if you're looking to hear some covered words on our webinars, it won't happen with me, because I like to say it exactly how it is. Okay, people need to understand how much pain these kids go through when they are abused from childhood. Every child who's been abused from childhood has a 70% chance of being an abuser as an adult. Take it from the two angles. Trust me. That's the thing. There's a tendency you could be abused. So let's keep bringing in those topics while we look at another point. Okay, another question. What are the risk factors that put a child in the family at risk of being turned into an abuser? What are the risk factors? Number one, all right, the first risk factor I am going to look at today is simple. What is it? I want someone to throw out theirs while I give you mine. Before you bring yours, I will read it through. So thanks, Tracy, for that. I'm expecting more from you, ma'am, because I know you have so many things to talk to us today. But Mark Zuckerberg is being naughty today, so we'll talk with him about it later. So now, the risk factors that put a child in the family to turn into an abuser are very simple. And I've been an abusive parent. Being a parent that abuses. Excuse me. Don't abuse your child. You're mad. Stupid child. Imagine what your mates got. The person that came first in class, does he have two heads? See, everybody has their potential inside. Every child has a gift, whether you like it or not. They are blessed already. So do not ever feel the need to force a child against what they really can do, what they can handle. Don't. It's wrong. Totally is wrong. Okay? Let's not do that. You're claiming a child is yours. You put to bed and brought home this beautiful bundle of joy. And then you keep saying, how did God give you to me? You see that? Where are you from? What did I do wrong? Who did I offend? Who cursed me? Even if the child has had bad characters in the past, let's be watchful of two things. From the generation or foundation, many times it's something we also have done. That's why we're always supposed to set our facts straight. So those of us who are about to go into marriage need to learn now and into giving birth to children. It's not just about loving somebody and going to start a family. It's about finding purpose. Why do you actually want to procreate? You have a reason you want to marry, because you love the person, because you want to live life together. But why do you want to bring children to this world? Is it because you want to just say, I'm a mom? Or because you really want another beautiful being to come from you? So if you want something beautiful, don't give up on it. Don't curse it. Don't spoil it with your mouth. Mothers are fond of it. Fathers would always say, I would disown you. When the child hears that, already the child is cutting himself from you already. And when you look at the child is calling you and saying, that's number 2 now, neglect. Mommy, I made this beautiful drawing. And you're like, oh, Junior, leave me. Go and meet your father. You see, you're pushing the child already. So every time, Junior is with daddy. Junior goes to daddy and like, go and meet your mother. You think it's the woman's job alone to take care of a child? No. Both of you, daddy and mommy, will have to work together. Don't leave your child at the mercy of strangers. Don't. It's wrong. Don't leave your child at the hands of people you do not know. It is wrong. So while we go on, we're trying to round it up here. Let's send in comments and let's do this in a very amazing way, because I want to hear from my beautiful people out there what you think about how the family can influence an abuser and what's the nature of an abuser. Before we go into that, I want to hear from you. And one more thing I'm going to say about the family influencing or making anybody a potential abuser is this. Let's not try to change anybody. Everybody is beautiful and unique in their own way. So please, let's not do these things some people do and they're like, you should not be like this. Change. See your younger sister. See your elder sister. See your younger brother. Don't try to turn your child to look at the next child. Love them for who they are. Else, someone who they are truly hitting them inside and changing them for their own selfish reasons. Okay? So now, nature of an abuser. While that is going on, I'm not just skipping and forgetting you. I need you all to talk. Thank you so much for the loves and the likes. Amazing one. Thank you. So please, let's come in and speak more about this topic. Please. Thank you. So now, nature of an abuser. Who is an abuser? An abuser is someone who wants to hurt someone, who abuses someone and puts someone through pain because of the pain they feel inside. That's my coin definition, not a dictionary thing. I said before, you don't bully somebody because you feel you are strong. It's because you're actually weak. When you abuse, it's because you are weak. Anybody who goes through and become an abuser is actually a weak person. Is actually a sad person inside. Is actually pained with something. So people feel, but it's no big deal. No, it is a big deal. It's a huge deal. Okay? Having to abuse somebody, yet you expect to be happy? No. So what's the nature of an abuser exactly? Now let's look at this. Nature of an abuser. They are quiet and loud at the same time. Unstable personalities. You're wondering, how? Does it mean I am an abuser or I could be an abuser? I'm sure you're asking yourself that question. All right? You cannot know. They could walk on the street. I was talking to someone, I think 2 friends yesterday, and I was chatting with them, and I said something. We mentioned a serial killer in America's name, okay? And this guy is like the worst serial killer in America of all time. If we all know him, Ted Bundy. This guy is, I don't know, Theodore Robert Bundy. That's the full name. He defended himself when he got caught. Okay? He defended himself in court. Because, of course, he had a law degree, right? He was studying to be a lawyer or something. But he had so much confidence that he could win the case. This guy happened to be a serial killer. Young women, he would sleep with them, rape them, destroy them, violate them in many different ways. Okay? And then throw their bodies somewhere. A lot of movies are out there about him, but you could go to Wikipedia or Google and just type Ted Bundy, serial killer in America of all time. He's like, I don't know, they keep calling him the most evil and vile and extremely horrible serial killer. He's a random person. He wasn't even engaged to married to someone, right? He was normal around children. He was calm, smiling and having a beautiful smile. Then in 5 seconds, he could switch his personality to and become pretty angry. Are you seeing that? Someone who is so nice and you're like, oh, I found my dream man. Now let me just tell you, okay, it's not about not finding your dream man. It's not about finding your dream man. It's not about finding your dream woman. Because when I talk about abusers, people always say, but it's only the men. Yeah, that's because about 60% is only the men, but 40%. And women are still doing it here today. Abusing their houseboys, their own sons, their sisters' sons, their nephews, their neighbors' children. Boys are being abused every day just like girls. The only thing is because we catch the men more. So I'm not going to subscribe to the school of thought that says it's just the men. One thing you must know about the nature of an abuser, we do not know for sure, 100%, how an abuser looks. There's no look. They are just normal. There's no painting. There's nothing that writes on the face, I am an abuser. Be scared of me. Oh, no. They look normal. They could be your best friend. They could be that new boyfriend that you think is better than the last one. They could be the one you are engaged to be married to. They could be the man you lived with for 20 years. They could be your brother of 15 years right now. Okay, you've known for 15 years because you are 15 and he's like 20. A big boy. They could be your schoolmate, your coursemate. Abusers can be anybody, but they are not gender-based. Meaning abusers are not strictly for the male. No. Women are abusers. I am a woman. I'm going to say the truth. Okay? Which women people don't want to hear, but that's the truth. Women abuse. Men abuse. The two genders desecrate people and violate people. Women, we have lesbians out there who are always abusing people. This is the nature of abusers. They don't think. Okay, all they want to do is satisfy themselves. So that's the first thing they're looking at. Don't forget the first one. They can either be male or female. They are weak inside. Okay, so when this comes up, we're going to have to teach us now another webinar. We're going to prepare for you on how to defend yourself in certain situations. Okay, of course, we can't take defense classes, but don't worry. We'll tell you certain things to do and not to do in certain situations. All right, now they are of uncertain attitudes. They're not balanced mentally. There's nothing that tells you that they know what they want. They don't. Because up here, they're sick and confused. So that's why when we speak with them, we try to run this therapy, okay? I had this person who abused a young lady for 16 years, okay? She's now married though, but she was affected in her husband's house, all right? So now, this man who abused her, okay, happened to be her father's younger brother, okay? And while this was going on, he would desecrate her. He would do everything he could to, continue to sleep with her and threaten her. I'm sure a lot of people will be asking, why couldn't she speak up? Don't forget what we keep on saying. Someone who is not taught how to speak and who's told that it's our little secret, our dirty little secret, or our beautiful little secret, would always keep it a secret. And she was scared because she was threatened that she would die if she speaks up. All right? So now, while this was going on and we finished with him, we found out he was of a bipolar attitude. He had two personalities in him. One was the one he said would come out and abuse the girl, and the other didn't even like what he was doing. So that's the funniest part. We have to just hand him over to a therapist and let him just get his head fixed. All right? A lot of people go through that. They're sick in there. So I would like to take questions now for the next 5 to 10 minutes, please. And so we don't take much of our time as we are coming to the end of today's webinar. We've had an amazing time with everyone. So while that is going on, I'm going to run through social media lines and how you can contact us. First off, on our WhatsApp, and you can call us on 080. All right, are we listening? 080-7417-8144. Okay, 080-7417, okay, 8144. That's the number. All right, for both WhatsApp and calls, and somebody will be there to reach you at any time of the day you choose to call or try to reach us. Our website is thelightagefoundation.websites.co.in. The Light Age Foundation .websites with an S .co.in, and our email is thelightagefoundation2012@gmail.com. thelightagefoundation2012@gmail.com. On Twitter, we are lightage_FD. lightage_FD. And on Instagram, we are also lightage_FD. On YouTube, it's the Light Age Foundation, so you can always watch this video again and again, both here on YouTube. On Facebook, we are the Light Age Foundation, which is where we are now, and our username is @TLAF2012. That's who we are, okay? So there's no two Light Age Foundation, it's just us. So stay with us, and we would also be taking volunteers, people who are willing, okay, to do this with us, people who are willing to go through this phase of fight with us. We would love you to come on board, join us, and let's take up this fight across the world, because we can't do it alone. There's never enough people. Everybody is needed on board. So contact that number, and the link will be sent to you to fill a form. We'll vet it, and then we'll get you on board if we think you have what it takes to be a volunteer of the Lightage Foundation, we're going to be having seminars on our groups that tell us how to speak with people, how to relate to people, how to get people to come clean. Because trust me, there's at least 5 in 7 women who's been abused, and there's 4 in 10 men who's been abused. Someone is close to you that's been abused. Do not neglect them. Now, before we go today, we all would like to take on this same program on the live feed a 30-second silence for our colleague, a volunteer who passed on last week Friday after he was on our meeting on Thursday, okay, when we spoke, and he happened to be a friend personally to me, okay, at the foundation, and he was the first volunteer for the Lightage Foundation this year. So we would love to take a 30-second silence for Mr. Opeoluwa Oladipo, who was gunned down by suspected kidnappers and people while he was trying to fight for love. Doing the most beautiful thing he could ever do was what he died doing. So let's take a 30-second silence for this amazing young man. God bless him always where he is and grants his soul eternal rest. 30 seconds, please. Thank you. Eternal rest grant unto him, and let God's perpetual light shine upon him. We pray that God grants his soul peace in his abode and the life after death where he is already. So we have come to the end of today's webinar, and we hope to see you again while we announce the date. So stay tuned to our page, call your friends, ask the world to join this fight, because it just gets better every time. Not one person can sweep an entire nation. Not a handful of foundations around can do that either. But how about we all join in together and make this a reality? Because it will happen. It's coming to you next. And stay safe. Don't forget, mask on always. Sanitize, wash your hands, stay beautiful, people. Have a lovely, beautiful, and blessed week ahead. Stay productive and never stop communicating. Talk, speak out. Bye.